All right, Bulls and Bears, welcome back. Back with another dose. BX4 News back in the building. Let's go ahead and get right into it. I apologize about yesterday's video. We played the wrong clip out of Warren Buffett. That was from a few years ago. And, a couple of you pointed out there was actually a deceased person in the video. Someone who's now deceased. Not a corpse, but someone who's now deceased. Not a corpse in the video. So what I wanted to get to, though, was what Warren Buffett had pointed out about the tariffs, and he gave a pretty dire warning, right? We're going to get to that here in just a few minutes. But first, let's get into this war, and this is a trade war, and there's other wars that could be breaking out that are even scarier than the trade war, but the trade war is the big thing in the news right now. China is feeling the effects. We're going to feel some effects here with rising costs and inflation, of course, product prices rising. But about one third of everything China exports comes to the U.S., right? So this is a major hit. And we have reports now that China's workers are protesting over unpaid wages and massive factory shutdowns because of the drop off in demand from these tariffs. And we've got a lot of news, actually, news outlets covering this. Z-Hedge included here. And they're reporting that Financial Times is reporting that factories all across China have begun shutting down and furloughing workers as the trade war unleashed by the U.S. Dries up orders for products ranging from jeans to home appliances, folks. With most Chinese goods now facing U.S. duties of at least 145% or not having the raw materials needed to process the goods and sent to them onward to the U.S., China factory owners told Financial Times the American customers have canceled or suspended orders, forcing them to cut production. And this report goes on to say it's about 15% of U.S. exports go to, of China's exports rather, go to the U.S. I've read it 30% before, so it's dropped off since the peak. But the point is, it's having an impact on China. And it's going to have an impact on us here. What will be worse? Like, who's going to win the war? I mean, they call it a trade war for a reason, right? So we're facing consequences. We will face consequences because of these higher costs, but so will the workers in this country over that manufactures most of these goods. And let's just go ahead and play a clip that was shared heavily on social media recently. I would play the audio, but there's some sort of song playing in the background. I don't want to get a copyright strike. So just one example of what's being reported widely across China. A lot of these people protesting and just going home in other cases because of the shutdowns. And you wouldn't think just a 15% export to a country, in this case the U.S., would have this big of an impact. But there's reports of pretty big impacts happening here. And how's this going to end up? Are they going to cave? Are we going to cave? Who's going to cave first? I mean, in a war, somebody's got to win, right? Unless we call a truce. All right. So very interesting. Fast forward a little bit here. So you get the point. You get the picture. Are these people going to jump off a building? What's going on there? All right. Interesting. And it goes on here. Hundreds of workers at a sports good manufacturing facility went on strike after the company factory was shut down without paying employees their compensation or their social security benefits. Workers at the company's factory, which produces sports, protective gear, and related accessories, said they were unfairly dismissed. More than 150 employees, and they're contemplating on retiring early, is what some reports are saying, because they've had enough of that work. But if it's in anything like the U.S., they're not going to have just an easy time choosing to retire, because even retired people pretty much are paycheck to paycheck or social security check to social security check. So a lot of these people are going to have to hopefully find other work, right? But bottom line is work is drying up across China, folks. Now go back to a few weeks ago, was it last month, Goldman Sachs came out and warned that these tariffs could end 16 million jobs in China. 16 million. Now, that's not huge compared to China's population, which is like 1.3 billion, I believe. but that just could be the tip of the iceberg here. China's manufacturing activity plunged to a 16-month low here recently. All right, people, but let's get into what Warren Buffett said here. He basically came out and said, the US dollar going to hell. So prepare for hell, folks. If you believe what Warren Buffett's saying, he says invest in local currencies. And this was at the 60th annual shareholder summit for Berkshire Hathaway. He issued a warning on the stability of the US dollar, and in statements coincide with the BRICS agenda. Now, the clip I had played in the previous report was one where Buffett said the dollar is never going to be dethroned. Don't worry about it. It's going to be here to stay forever, which is crazy to make that kind of prediction in my case. Maybe his age is catching up to him here. He said the stability of the U.S. dollar, which coincides with the BRICS agenda, quote, we would not really invest in a currency, the U.S. dollar, that is going to hell, is what he said. He added, a currency's value can be a scary thing. And now what we see the BRICS nations are doing here. He criticized U.S. fiscal behavior, calling it alarming, and he questioned the long-term strength of the dollar. Buffett went on hinting that Berkshire Hathaway could take entry positions in foreign currencies next. Quote, there could be things happening in the United States that makes us want to own a lot of other currencies, unquote. He said he might not invest in BRICS currencies, but could invest in the yen and not in the U.S. dollar. Well, on one hand, they said he was going to retire. Now he's talking about what his next investments are going to be. So is he really going to retire? The 94-year-old billionaire hinted that Berkshire Hathaway could invest in European currencies also. They might, quote, do a lot of financing in their currency, he added. He went on to say, trade should not be a weapon. There's no question that trade can be an act of war, trade war. And I think it's led to bad things. Just look at the attitudes it has stirred up in the United States. All right, so some pretty strong words out of Warren Buffett. What do you guys think about that? I mean, should we be concerned about his warning, the U.S. dollar is going to hell? On the same topic here, BRICS abandons U.S. dollar and is now settling 65% of trades in local currencies. That's been confirmed, 65% trade settlements, folks. So they're making the move. Is the big surge in gold here recently part of this de-dollarization? We see China dumping U.S. treasuries, and that's another flight into gold, in my opinion. They're dumping and getting the money from the treasuries, dumping U.S. debt, basically, putting it into gold. That's what I think is happening. Plus, you have a lot of safety trades at play here where people just want to get out because of all the uncertainty that we're seeing throughout the economy with the tariffs and everything else. Now, there's a lot of people out there, including financial minds, saying that China could blow up the U.S. bond market by dumping this debt all at once. Other people say it doesn't matter because the central bank's just going to come in and buy it all because they can pretty much buy anything unlimited so that there's no risk. I'll let you decide if there's a risk or not and how you should hedge against that. I'm just putting both sides out there. I don't know what's going to happen exactly. I always try to be defensive with a little offense, right? If you don't have some offense, a good defense is no good without a little bit of offense, right? So if you're a sports team and you play all defense but no offense, even if the other team scores only 2 points, you played pretty good defense. But if you're scoring 0 points yourself, you're still going to lose the game. So I'm still investing here, but like I said in many previous videos, I'm being very cautious in very obvious situations where it's going to be pretty easy to make money here. So we'll continue to talk about trades and stuff like that as we go along into the news here, not just today, but in the following weeks, months, years, etc. Layoffs are hitting LA Times, folks. California's biggest newspaper. It's interesting because a lot of these newspapers that used to be only print, they went online and now have an online presence. And then a lot of them started charging for content. I don't think many people were going there. So new layoffs hit LA Times, the biggest newspaper. Well, they were the biggest newspaper. How bad is this going to get here out of the SF gate? New wave of layoffs. Multiple reports. The beleaguered newspaper has been operating deeply in the red for years. Much of the charging a billionaire owner Patrick Soon-Shiong, who has recently taken on a more direct oversight role at the newspaper, leading to several controversies and a further erosion of leadership. So it's pretty interesting, not just this newspaper, but in general, how many companies run in the red. In other words, zombie companies, right? If it weren't for buyers of the debt, they would be gone. So it's pretty interesting how many companies. I think it was close to 40% the last time we checked. I'd have to get a more recent number and dive into that more deeply. But let's go ahead and get into another topic I wanted to jump into today for you. And here's something else that was just in the news here over the past few days that we said right here in this channel would happen. We said a lot of the stuff we're being told by this administration, not that I was a fan of the previous one, but this one too, I think there's a lot of people being fooled, and I think they're starting to realize they've been fooled now as they see inflation still rising, still up year over year. Cost of living hasn't really come down for the most part. And the war was supposed to be done in a couple weeks, right? After the new administration took over. We've got the VP out there now, Vance. He says the war in Ukraine not going to end anytime soon. Remember on the campaign trail, they're like, oh, we're going to end this in the first couple weeks. We're going to negotiate. We're going to jump in there. War is not ending, per the vice president, right? Anytime soon. So what does that mean? Soon? Is soon this year? Is it next year? Is it not ending at all? Is it just going to escalate? I mean, that's what it looks like. And we were told just recently, last week or the last 2 weeks, that we were very close to a deal on getting this thing ended over there between Russia and Ukraine. And now there's really no sign of it ending. But again, no surprise if you've been on this channel. This war is a big moneymaker. The weaponry, the financing that goes on behind this, the deals, right? The agendas. There's a lot of money in it, right? So there's always going to be a push for war. And I've said here for a while now that I expect something really big to go down to cover up this financial collapse that is happening right now before our eyes. It's happening in slow motion. You may not realize it. And unless you're really paying attention to the numbers, you don't realize it, right? And I've said this before, so many people are used to just being in debt for life, working into their 50s, 60s, 70s, having to get a second job in your 70s and 80s just to get by, or supplement Social Security, working at Walmart, etc., door greeter. So many people are just used to it. They think it's normal now. So they think that there's no problems, that there's no crisis, right? But there is a crisis, right? It should not be like this. People shouldn't have to work this hard to end up really not owning anything at the end. And real quick right here, we're going to bring up a chart. CPI, Consumer Price Index, going to give us a read on what's been happening. Well, since January, we went from 3% down to 2.8, down to 2.4. So the rate of price increases are slowing. We're still positive year over year, so prices are still higher than last year. But we were promised a lower cost of living. We're not seeing that. We're seeing prices still rising, just slower than before. Instead of 3% year over year like January, now it's 2.4%. Now, we'll give it more time. We're going to see how this plays out. Obviously, 3 months is not a very long time. Even though we were promised that we're going to see big things on day one, I'd say give it a little more time to play out. And I think we're going to start seeing that number go back up because of everything that's happening with the trade war here. So brace for impact on that. And if you're looking at investing in the US dollar, prepare for hell. Warren Buffett said that, not me. Also, we have United Airlines under massive chaos, folks. We've got air traffic controllers losing contact with planes for up to 30 seconds. No contact with the planes. It's a disaster with delays, flight cancellations, understaffing from the air traffic controllers. So a lot of people were let go, laid off. And this is just a disaster, folks. And the CEO, net worth, I think over 400 million, if I read that correctly. Do a quick search here. Scott Kirby's worth $44 million. His 2024 compensation over almost $34 million, which includes base salary, bonuses, and stock awards. He was in 2023 making $18 million. So it looks like he's almost doubled his salary just in 1 year, just from 2023 to 2024. And of course, we see disaster unfold where Failure basically gets rewarded when you look at corporate America. All right, people, stay tuned. We got the rate decision coming up this week. I think it's going to be steady, right? It's going to be steady. It's not going to drop like the current administration wants lower rates, which is absolutely bonkers. I think it's going to be steady. Please let me know what you think, but stay tuned. We're going to go over that and a lot more. I'm going to cut it a little bit short today. I'm a little bit under the weather, a little bit scratchy throat and stuff like that. So hope you guys are well, guys and girls. Thanks for being here. I'd like to read you down in comments there. Let me know your thoughts on this, on Warren Buffett, the U.S. dollar going to hell. What does that mean? And what kind of timeline are we looking at here? Does anybody know? Please let us know down in the comments. Because I don't know. I'm just being defensive here, folks, and just reporting the news for you. As always, thanks for being here. Keep stacking, everybody. Bye for now. Peace.